the difference of this versus this. Like, it's just so drastic. So as you can see behind me, we're basically gonna take the van on, like, it's not a crazy road, it's just going off-road. We're just gonna tweak the suspension a little bit and see if I can get rid of the sway. Now let's go down this road. We'll test it out before I put the SumoSprings on, and then we'll test it out after I put the SumoSprings on. I'll also show you guys how to install the SumoSprings. Let's go. I got all the Groms in the back with me, but I got a camera on the front suspension right now. We'll see how this does, and then I will put a camera on the back and the rear suspension, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I don't lose the camera off the bottom of the van. This is getting exhausting. Whoever said being a van life, or I guess overlanding YouTuber, was gonna be easy was absolutely wrong. Let's go install the SumoSprings. Okay, now we're gonna install the SumoSprings by SuperSprings International. We're gonna see if this actually gets rid of that sway. I just need it to stiffen up just a little bit because I feel like I'm getting tossed around in the cab. So let's put these things in. First things first, we're gonna have to use the 3-ton jack to jack up one side at a time. And then we have to unscrew the bump stops that are in there already and take those out, and then put in the new bump stops and re-bolt them back on. So first, make sure to chock your wheels, then we'll jack up the front end, then we'll get underneath it and we'll actually unscrew the bump stops. Okay, so this is what we're working on. Basically what's happening is I'm jacking it up so that I can see the bump stop and so that there's enough room in between the bump stop and the frame. So you can see it. This right here is gonna come into contact with your lower A-arms. Lower A-arm, and then your bump stop is way back here. Basically, you just have to take this little bolt or this little nut off right here, and this is a 13 mil nut, and then you're gonna put this on with a washer and a nut on top. There. Come on, you too good for your hole? Okay. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna install it when you can't see something. I have some painter's tape on it, and basically the painter's tape is gonna hold on that washer and then the nut that's inside of it. What that's doing is it's perfectly aligning everything so that when I slam this back on top of the bolt, everything is going to be in line and it's not going to be an issue. So if there's a little bit of blue tape in there, it's not that big of a deal. But this is how I'm going to install it when I can't see it. So I'm just going to drop it on top of it and then tighten it down. Now, let's grab this guy and we'll put it on. Okay, just by seeing the difference between the bump stop and the stock bump stop and the new bump stop or the SumoSpring, this thing is incredible. So I just like finished wrenching on it. I didn't want to show you guys that I was wrenching on it for like 10 minutes because it's a tight space, but check this thing out. Just for comparison, here is the old bump stop, and I'll put it right next to the other one, and you can kind of see the difference that we're working with here. Look at this thing, dude. Now I'm just gonna do the other side. I'm not gonna really show you any of that. You're just gonna jack up the other side and then install the same way. Uninstall it and then install it the same way. So let's go do the rear bump stop. Okay, so now we're gonna install the rear springs. That's what these are. These are essentially bump stops. They're not actually springs, but we're gonna install those, and those go right above the rear axle. We'll show you everything. Just take note that, okay, you can see this bump stop has, the closest towards me has a notch in it, and the tail is longer. This will actually go towards the rear of the van. So just keep that in mind when you're installing this. Now that we're down by the rear tire, this thing is gonna be your best friend. Basically, you're just gonna get the longest, dirtiest, nastiest screwdriver you can find in your drawer that's pretty big, and you're gonna use that to take out the rear bump stops. You can see the bump stop. It is right here. Here's the rear axle. So we're gonna go ahead and put in the new bump stop, but first we gotta take this guy out. Hopefully my head doesn't get in the way. So you can see the difference right here. This thing is massive, and so where this one used to fit, this one does not fit. It is way too big, so I'm gonna have to lift the van up a little bit. Okay, so you got to get that corner in like that, and the only way to do that is by putting pressure here, putting pressure up into the corner like that, and then using a flat-headed screwdriver. Hopefully this sees it. Taking a flat-headed screwdriver and pushing all of this in. Whew. Okay. So you do that, which took me forever to learn, and then you push the whole bump stop forward. Hopefully that showed up. Okay, we just finished the install. I'm super excited of how they look. I just want to know how they feel. So tomorrow we're going to take it for a spin on the same exact route, and I'll let you know all about it. Okay, we're going to go test out the SumoSprings, but before we do, I want to say a big thank you to Huckberry for sponsoring this video. Huckberry.com is more than just an online store. It's a destination for those who value adventure, quality, and well-curated selection of lifestyle products. Step up your style and utility with Huckberry.com. Slide into the Astroflex Chelsea boot like I'm wearing in this video. They're handcrafted in Italy. It's an eco-friendly choice for urban adventurers and doing a little off-roading yourself. If you want to step up your everyday carry, the James brand Carter knife is a sleek, everyday carry essential that combines form with function. Whether you're navigating the city or great outdoors, Huckberry equips you with the gear that is reliable and stylish. Discover the best in men's gear at huckberry.com. I'll leave a link down below. Now, let's go test out the SumoSprings, shall we? Okay, so we're gonna do the same exact course, and we're gonna go over the same exact bumps the same way. Oh, wow. That is crazy. You know, I kind of expected it to be like kind of the same because I just didn't think it was gonna be that drastic. And I didn't do any other suspension. I just put in the SumoSprings and that was it. I put in the front ones first and then I put in the rear ones. And honestly, the ride is a lot smoother. It's taking and absorbing all of the bumps and, you know, all of the ruts. We're gonna go up this little bank right here. Let's see. Oh man. So on that one right there, I was like, you know, getting jostled back and forth. Now it's a lot smoother. I'm still getting jostled a little bit, but I'm going off-road in a 9-foot vehicle, so that's really not that big of a deal. So I just think that this is actually improving the ride quite a bit. Now I'm gonna turn around here and we're gonna see how it takes this. Oh man. I mean, I really hope I'm not dragging a camera. I don't think I did, because that thing is on there pretty good. Okay, let's go back the other way and we'll see how she does. Yeah, just these little bumps and little things that before were basically taking a lot out of the van and it was making it sway quite a bit. is enabling me to just go a little bit faster over the bumps, which is probably not a good thing, but it's definitely allowing me to utilize that suspension and not get bottomed out on the bottom of those little miniature bump stops that I showed you earlier. It's just so much smoother. I think SumoSprings really created something pretty cool. This should probably be on every van. This is incredible. Man, it's just so much smoother. This is crazy. I was like kind of skeptical, I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited to throw the camera and see what the back and the rear bump stops are doing. There, let's go over this section right here. See how this goes. Man, that is so much more stable going over these driveway paths that we're going on, the little entrance path. Those usually throw the van pretty good. Like anything like a driveway or the end of a driveway usually throws the van pretty good. And it just didn't throw it at all. Like it just kind of like, you know, a little bit, but it didn't like toss the whole van. And that's what I wanted to get rid of, was basically this sway that the van has. And I didn't feel it at all. I mean, you feel it a little bit because you still have a 9-foot vehicle, but it's not anywhere near as drastic as it was. So, okay, that is it. We tested out the stock suspension, we installed the SumoSprings, and then we tested out the actual SumoSprings after they were installed. And honestly, it is a pretty drastic change. Now, I don't sway as much back and forth, and that is really nice because this van is 9.5 feet tall and it loves to just sway back and forth. As you come out of a driveway, as you come out of anything, even like that's not off-road or you go over a speed bump, you'll have a noticeable change. It is really nice to be able to have something there instead of nothing there, like the stock suspension. Honestly, SumoSprings knocked it out of the park on this one. I really appreciate them sending me these and allowing me to do this video to see if there was any change in how the rig acted. From the beginning, and the stock suspension being really sway heavy and really not too fun, this just stiffens up your suspension a lot more and allows you to not sway as much. So I really appreciate that, being that this van is my daily driver. So if you were doing something where you needed a lot of flex and you had some really gnarly off-road vehicle, that's totally different. But with this vehicle, you absolutely need the SumoSprings. So thanks to SumoSprings for sending them out, and thank you to Huckberry for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna leave a link down below if you guys wanna pick up some SumoSprings. These are both the 1,000 pound, so 1,000 pound in the rear, 1,000 pound in the front. They do make 500s in the front and 1,000 pound in the back if you want a little bit more flex up front, but I will link what I used down below so that you guys can use them on your van. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. We would love to have you on board, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.